Welcome to Sparking Conversations Volume 2. We got a bunch of dope questions to get to, but before we do, I just want to say that I got 9 or 10 questions before doing this video. Half of them were about movies, and the other half of them were about comic books and collections. So what I decided to do is split the questions between 2 different episodes. This episode, I'm going to tackle all the movie stuff, and in the next episode, I'm going to tackle all the comic book and collecting questions that you guys have sent to me. And I'm just going to peek over here. Sorry about the bright light, but yes, there's a lot of collecting to talk about. So today, let's just talk about the movies and some of the other questions that I've gotten. So for our first question, I'm not even sure if this gentleman intended for this to be a question that showed up on the show, but I thought it was a good question anyway, just to help out other YouTubers who might want to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Dark Room Reviews asked, how do you get people to ask you questions? Well, the answer to that is pretty simple. What I did to get the first group of questions was I made a post on my community page asking people for questions, telling them, hey, I'm starting a new series where you guys can ask me questions, a Q&A kind of thing. And now the second time that I've done it, I've actually asked people at the end of the video to give me more questions, as well as made a separate post for volume 2 in the community page. So those are some of the ways I've gotten questions. Hopefully you guys add more questions to the bottom of this video for volume 4. Like I said, volume 3 will be strictly dedicated to comics. Thank you so much for the question, Dark Room Reviews. Talk to you soon. So Taco Boy Studios says, I just started watching your channel and I love it. Your channel is fire. My question is, what are some of your favorite movies? Well, let me just stop real quick and just say, yo, thank you for the compliment. Seriously, like that is really encouraging. I don't think you understand, or maybe you do understand how encouraging it is for someone to come along who you don't know. I don't know you from a can of paint, but you said your channel's dope, like, or your channel's fire in your words, as the young folks say. I'm joking. That's really encouraging, man, and I really appreciate you doing that. So my favorite movies are The Lion King, Forrest Gump, Speed.
LAPD! There's a bomb on your bus! There's a bomb on your bus! There's a what?
Nice action movies are my jam. Face Off, Armageddon.
Yeehaw! Ride 'em, cowboy! Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay!
Get off the nuclear warhead.
It's an adventure movie, not necessarily an action movie. You have Demolition Man, The Fugitive.
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
Fast forward to my teenage years, you have The Prestige, of course the MCU. That would be a big part of this, I'll only name a few. One of my favorite MCU movies of all time is Captain America the Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy as a whole. Captain America Civil War is amazing, Infinity War and Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi. I know there's a lot of debate about Phase 4 and Phase 5 stuff. I love that movie. So yeah, there's a ton of MCU movies that I love. Outside of the MCU, Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, I would say that my favorite movies are movies about deeply complex characters with some wackiness surrounding it. It doesn't always have to be deep or complex for me to enjoy a movie, but I would definitely say that those are my favorite movies. But then you also have movies with great acting performances. Seven by David Fincher.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Godzilla Minus One, which I just saw. Amazing movie. Highly recommended. There's a ton of movies I love. I would be here all day if I had to name every single one. So the homie CC Clemens, who I actually have a Meet the MovieTubers episode with that's coming up in the very near future, sends in a question and she asks, what was your first movie-going experience that ignited your desire / need to go more regularly, or has it always been this way? And for me, CC, it's always been this way. My parents took me to my first movie when I was 4 years old. It was The Lion King in 1994. Truth be told, I don't remember seeing that movie at all. All I know is that my parents set up a culture of going to the movies. My dad took me to see Batman Forever with Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face.
Wait. I have a riddle for you.
For me? Really?
I see without seeing. To me, darkness is as clear as daylight. What am I?
Please! You're as blind as a bat!
Exactly.
I also saw Blade in theaters, I'm pretty sure, but I was like 8 years old, so why was I in the theater for that?
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
He also took me to see Starship Troopers, a movie I cried in because it was so damn scary. I was like 7 or 8.
You're on. We've just landed here on what Count Troopers are calling Big K. ugly planet, a fun planet, a planet hostile to life.
It was wild. But I've always loved going to the movies because I've always loved going to the movies with him. Going to the movies is a almost religious experience for me in a sense where it's like a sanctuary. You go to this place, pretty much everyone kind of has a social agreement that you don't talk super loud. You don't be on your phone like that. You're here for the story, right? And it's relaxing, it's therapeutic for me, good movie or bad movie, because I get to sit down, get away from the world that's outside and around me, and just say, hey, you know what? Tell me a story. Hopefully it's a good story, but tell me a story. And for those 2.5 hours or an hour and a half or however long I'm in there, the only thing I'm concerned with is what's in front of me. Thank you so much for the question, CC. Talk to you soon. So Hissy Hay asks, what is the movie you wish you reviewed when it came out? That's actually a great question because the movie I wish I reviewed when it came out was actually in the theater when I first started my YouTube channel, which was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now at that time, my audio was trash. I didn't know what I was doing. My video was awful. I actually tried to do an out of the theater review for that movie and it just turned out terribly. I didn't understand lighting or anything, so pretty sure I actually deleted that file. So I never actually got around to doing a review for that movie. Now, here's a reason why I wanted to do a review for that movie. It's excellent. It's actually my number 3 movie on my letterbox, right behind number 1, which is Across the Spider-Verse, and number 2, which is Godzilla -1. That movie is deeply emotional. It's a great ending to a long journey for these characters. I absolutely love the way that James Gunn has figured out a way to have these characters grow as people, but still remain the same in terms of their characterizations, right? Nebula, she still yells at the top of her lungs about everything, but she's a much softer, kinder version of herself. Rocket is a much more deep and introspective version of himself in a way that's different from the way that he was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where he stole those Harbulary batteries, whatever they were called.
What are they called again?
Annulax batteries.
Harbulary batteries.
That's nothing like what I just said.
For attention because he felt like he wasn't worthy of love. You had a great villain in the High Evolutionary, and you also made me cry several times with Lila and Teeves and Floor and Rocket and hearing about their story. Like, oh my god, like that movie is phenomenal. And it's also one of my main arguments against the whole superhero fatigue thing. I end up on tangents all the time. So thank you so much for the question, and let's move on to the next one. So Della Movie says, love this idea. Don't be surprised if I steal it. My question for your next video: who will play you in a movie about your life? That's a great question. Also, before I even get to that, I do want to say, steal away, man. Answering questions from your viewers or subscribers is not a new thing. Like, people have been doing this forever. If you're stealing it, I stole it, right? So if you need help with setting it up or anything like that, just hit me up, let me know. If you have advice for how it could make this better, also let me know. I'm definitely open to it. Let's get to your question though. In terms of who would play me in my life, we're going to do 3 different actors. We're going to do Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things. He can play my younger years, socially awkward kid who, you know, is into like nerdy stuff, but is kind of like in his own like little phase of life. Then we have Shameik Moore, who can play me as my, you know, my little young adult years, right before I start to blow up in weight and in size a little bit. He can still play like my the handsome version of me, right? Dude is handsome, so he can play the handsome, the socially awkward, the guy who's a little bit quiet. He has a lot to say, but he keeps it inside. He's funny, but nobody knows because he doesn't express it. He's too afraid to be looked at like a crazy person, right? That's me, you know what I'm saying? That's me. And then we have, for my adult years, we have Kenan Thompson, who is starting to grow. I'm not calling Kenan Thompson fat. I'm fat. He's not fat. He's fit for his size. He's big. We're big boned gentlemen, right? So with that, I think that he can play the more outgoing part of me, who has kind of grown a little bit in the way he expresses himself. I think that that's the stage of life that I'm in right now, where I'm kind of growing in that aspect. So we have Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things playing the teenage years. We have Shameik Moore playing the mid-adult years, if you will. And you have Kenan Thompson playing my adult years. I'm married. married. I'm a little bigger now, you know what I'm saying? We get a little bit of makeup for the vitiligo. I'm sure Hollywood can make that work. I don't know if he can grow a beard at all. I don't think I've ever seen him with one. But, you know, the Hollywood magic, we can do it. We can make it happen. That's the answer to your question. Thank you so much for sending it in, and I'll talk to you soon. Well, that's it for Sparking Conversations Volume 2. Thank you to everyone who sent in a question. Keep on sending them in and put them in the comment section. Because I'm looking to do this maybe once or twice a month, you guys can kind of expect to see your questions being answered, of course, but it might not be an immediate thing. But what I'm going to try to do is tag everyone in the description next to their question so you can actually see the timestamp of where your question has been answered. That way, you know that your question has been answered and hopefully you get a notification. Let me know if you've seen a previous video and I'll try to notify you or put your tag in the description and whether or not it told you that you actually got the video. Or I'll just put a post in the community post letting you guys know that the new episode is out. Thank you all so much for watching Sparking Conversations, and I'll see you guys next time.